Now, in the meantime, President Donald Trump is visiting California for the first time since he was elected U.S. president. He's visiting the proposed site of the controversial border wall that he wants to build between Mexico and the U.S. He has a rocky relationship with California, which is historically Democratic. In 2016, he lost the vote in the state by 4 million votes. We cross live now to our correspondent Francis Reed, who's in Los Angeles. Francis, thanks for joining us. Now, what are we expecting from Donald Trump's visit today?
Yes, well, he's due to start his visit at that proposed site of the border wall between the US and Mexico. And it's very much a message to say that he means business, that he's going to see this through no matter what the opinions are, especially here in California, and that he wants to see it go ahead. So he's going to be visiting this wall, which is essentially 30-foot prototypes, either made of concrete or other materials, to see what should go ahead and what the next step should be. After that, he makes his way to a military airbase where he's due to give an address, and then he'll be heading up to Los Angeles where he's due to have a private roundtable meeting with Republican National Committee members, and it's there where he'll probably try to drum up some financial support as well from California, a very rich state of course, in order to get some backing for his various different projects.
Ignore the big news of the day. Is President Trump expected to talk more on his latest reshuffle, which sees Rex Tillerson making way for Mike Pompeo?
Not necessarily. I mean, Donald Trump tends to be very orchestrated on these kind of events, although it could be possible that he does give some kind of throwaway comments. On Twitter, he's already addressed it, essentially. So in his mind, he will have definitely already addressed it. He basically said, very factually, Mike Pompeo, director of the CIA, will become our new Secretary of State. He will do a fantastic job. Thank you to Rex Tillerson for his service. Gina Haspel will become the new director of the CIA and the first woman to be chosen. Congratulations to all. So in his mind, I think he will think that he has already addressed that. And speaking to White House representatives, he had already, on his way to San Diego as well, already very much addressed it and essentially said that he respected Rex Tillerson's intellect and that they did get on very well at times, although I think some people would debate that because they didn't get on a number of issues from North Korea to Russia. But I think this trip to California will be very much about looking forward, forging ahead, not looking behind.
Let's go back to his visit to California. We know it's been a rocky relationship with the state. What are the main rifts between Donald Trump and California?
Yeah, immigration is the main one, although it's not the only one. And the border wall isn't the only main focus of it. You know, California has got a very large population of immigrants, largest in the US, some 10 million, and the majority of those are legally allowed to live here. They have green card status or other statuses which allow them to live here. Now, the Trump administration has said that they're not happy with what California is doing, though, towards immigration. And just a few hours ago, before Trump's set foot on that plane to get to California, he again went to Twitter to talk about what he thinks. And he said that California's sanctuary policies are illegal and unconstitutional. They put the safety and security of our entire nation at risk. Thousands of dangerous and violent criminal aliens are released as a result of sanctuary policies, set free to prey on innocent Americans. Now, I can imagine that will not go down very well in California. And by the way, the Trump administration is now suing California. It says that California has 3 laws that it does not agree with, that violate the Constitution and that are against federal policy. And so it will go to the federal courts to try to overturn those 3 laws in California. We're not sure who's going to win that fight, whether California will win or whether the Trump administration will win. Both have good cases, and California will simply say that it's not in competition and that it should be able to have its own sovereignty, essentially, to make its own decisions around those bases.
Now, Francis, you've mentioned Trump's tweets numerous times since we started speaking. Is it now becoming a norm that Trump is going to make huge policy announcements as well as changes to his cabinet on social media?
I think he's done that throughout, quite honestly. Social media seems to be the form through which he communicates with people. But, you know, right from the very beginning, from even before the election. But it is also a form in which other people are able to interact with him. And he has had some major criticism from top politicians here in California who've also used social media back in return to essentially address Donald Trump, invite him to things, criticize him about things. One of the main criticisms that he's had on social media here in the past couple of days has been from California's governor, Jerry Brown, who in an open letter to Donald Trump essentially said that California is the 6th largest economy in the world. He reminded Donald Trump of that. And he said that success has come from immigrants and building bridges, not walls. Jerry Brown then openly invited Donald Trump to Central California to look at a high-speed rail project that's being built there. Donald Trump has either ignored that or declined that invitation. He's certainly not made reference to it on social media as yet, which is, as you say, the way he tends to do everything. So it's a two-way street, really. It is definitely the way he goes about doing things, but it's also opened the processes for other people to be able to interact with him as well.
Now, just finally, Francis, you mentioned funding for the wall a little bit earlier on. How far is the president in securing funds to build the wall? Do we have any figures at this point in time?
No, not at this time. I mean, a lot of the major criticism has come from the fact that he says he wants to get this money from Mexico, and people are saying, are you kidding? You're never going to be able to get this money from Mexico. So it's still very much in the early stages. You know, they're still looking at prototypes. They're still looking at where the money will come from. But if we know Donald Trump, he will forge ahead and he will find that money somehow. How he will then deal with the criticism that comes from, well, actually, you didn't get it from Mexico, or how he would ever plan to get it from Mexico in the first place, that remains to be seen. I think we've got a long road ahead, though, before we get any closer to that.
We'll have to leave it there. Thank you very much for that update, Francis. That was our US correspondent, Francis Reed, joining us for an update on the latest in the US.